What's up, Pod Pals? It's your buddy Adam, and you are checking out Podcasting Business School. This is the show where I teach podcasters how to love their show like a hobby and build it like a business. And that's what we've been talking about all week, Pod Pals, building that podcasting business. This has been a podcasting business workshop week. We are on day 3, Wednesday of workshop week. On Monday, on day 1, we talked about whether, do you have a podcasting hobby or a podcasting business? That was back in episode 280. Yesterday, episode 281, we talked about my podcasting success timeline, which is very related to what we're going to talk about today with creating your ideal listener journey. So my ideal listener journey for my audience, AKA you, is what I call the podcasting success timeline. So if you haven't listened to those 2 episodes, if you just found the show today, then I would probably recommend hitting the pause button, go back and start listening to episode 280 and then 281, and then we'll get into today's episode. But the podcasting success timeline, again, that is my ideal listener journey that I created for you. It is me saying, hey, I have walked this path. I have defined this path. This is where you're at. This is why you're at where you're at. And here's what you need to do to go to the next step. All right. So I want to unpack this a little bit today to help you create your ideal listener journey for your audience. And this is huge. One thing that I want to kind of pump our brakes on a little bit, when I work with people, up until now, it's always been a one-on-one process. When I teach them this, like today and tomorrow, especially, are really me teaching you what I call the community to client bridge method. That's what I named it. I name things. You guys know this if you listen to the show. So I'm starting to teach you my community to client bridge method as of today and tomorrow. And it's going to be, a bit of an overview, a little 10,000 foot view, but I think it's going to be helpful. So when I work with people on a one-on-one basis, and then, next week we're doing our first beta group for the Bootcamp, where I'm going to be teaching this for the first time in group format. But sometimes people get confused because they think that I'm talking about their business funnel. Like we're going to map out their funnel of like, and here's the lead magnet, and then here's the offer and the email sequence. That's not what I'm talking about when we say creating your ideal listener journey. We're not talking about them from the journey of not being a customer to being a customer. That'll come, in a few episodes here. All right. We'll talk about that a little bit in tomorrow's episode. What I'm talking about right now with creating your ideal listener journey is we're mapping out their journey to success in whatever niche it is that you serve. All right. So think about where the starting point is. They know nothing. They have no experience. They have no momentum. They're probably struggling a little bit. And then what does success look like in your niche? So I used to have, the very first time I did this was with my health podcast, and I mapped out a weight loss journey. And I started with, they've lost control over their health. They are feeling frustrated. They're trying all the things. They're spending a lot of money. They're ready to give up. Like that was the point 0. And then the successful point was they feel good. They feel confident. They're very happy. They're very healthy. And they're confident that they're not going to like reverse course. And then we just mapped out everything in between. So that's what we're going to get into today. But that I wanted to define that first in this conversation is we're not talking about a business funnel in this episode. We will talk about that tomorrow a little bit. We're talking about your listener and the journey that they are going through from getting started to success in your niche with your show. All right. So kind of think about the information I'm getting ready to dispense through that lens. Now let's talk about why this is important. All right. This is going to allow you to better understand and relate to your audience like nothing else. Whenever I have my coaching clients go through this, it's eye-opening. And I review this in like just from episode 220 to episode 281. If you listen to both those episodes, you can see my podcasting success timeline has changed a little bit. I've taken some stuff out. I've added some stuff. I've renamed a couple of the phases because this is an ongoing process of learning about your ideal listener. Like what is their current journey? What is their current situation? What are their current pain points? But by just starting to map this out, you're going to better understand them. Now, most likely you've gone through this journey or you are going through this journey. So that helps as well if you are kind of a representative of your own ideal listener avatar. But just mapping this out is going to help you understand them like nothing else. So just get ready. This is worth the time, pod pals. Now, there's a business advantage. If one of my favorite things to say is if you define the journey, you will stand out in your niche. Sometimes I get a little more ballsy and I even say, if you define the journey, you own your niche, because so many people are out there just telling people, here are strategies and try harder, work more. But if you are the person in your niche that goes, here's what the journey looks like, here's where you are at, here's what I need you to do to get to the next phase. All right. And that's just a different vibe. That is expert positioning to the extreme. And that's what we want in business. That's how we stand out. All right. So you define the journey. You are going to stand out, if not own the niche. With my weight loss show, I got a ton of coaching clients and I stacked my membership full because I defined the journey in a space that is full of people just going, work harder, don't quit, keep going. That there comes a point where that just doesn't help. It almost gets annoying. Like, I am working hard, I am not quitting, but I feel like it. So it's going to deliver a sense of relief when I go, hey, you are in phase 2 of your weight loss success journey, because here are the things you're struggling with. Here are the symptoms you're experiencing. And here's the checklist. Here are the next 3 to 5 things that I need you to focus on so we can move past this. It is clarity. It is comfort. It takes a lot of the pressure off. It's all of a sudden, it's not, I have to do all the things. It's, I have to do this micro checklist of things just to get to that next step. You know, it's the Martin Luther King Jr. saying, you don't have to see the whole staircase. You just have to see that next step. And that's what defining the ideal listener journey. That's a part of the focus and the relief that you're going to give to them. All right. That's why this is important. That's why this is a really nice business advantage for you. Now, you're going to be able to identify where the bulk of your listeners / clients are getting stuck. And this is going to come into tomorrow's episode big time. But when you can look at this journey, and as you talk to more and more people, you're going to realize like 50, maybe 60, 70, 80% of them are all stuck in one phase. All right. And this is huge for you and for your business, because this helps our marketing. This helps our social media. This helps our offer creation. All right. This is huge. This is huge. So we find out where they're getting stuck, and then we can actually create offers and create content and create, social media and marketing that's going to help them break through that roadblock. You'll see it. I guarantee you, when you map this out, it's just going to be like a light bulb going off. It was for me, for sure, where I would say 80% of you in my timeline, my podcasting success timeline, you're stuck in phase 2, the post-launch frustration zone. If you're not sure where you are, go back and listen to episode 281. It just came out yesterday. So 80% of you will go, yep, I'm a card carrying phase 2er, post-launch frustration zone. You've launched. You're probably doing less than 125 downloads at the 30-day mark. You're feeling frustrated with the amount of downloads that you're getting. You're feeling frustrated about not making as much money as you thought, and you've thought about quitting. It's really hard to get consistency with your content because you're not that excited about it. You aren't excited about it as you were. So that's me defining where most of you are at. All right. And a lot of you are nodding your head going, yep, that's me. All right. I want you to be able to deliver that feeling for your audience. All right. So important parts of this process. We're going to do the 10,000 foot overview here. All right. If y'all want I'm just going to straight up say it. This topic that we're covering today, this is part of my unique ability. I'm not good at this. I am great at this. I'm not great at all things. I'm great at very few things. This is one of them. All right. I'm really, really, really great at helping people map this out and figure this out and dial it in. All right. Ask my clients. You can see the testimonials on the gram. All right. So the first part is we need to name this. We're going to name it something. It's almost like branded and naming it like your podcast. You want this to relate. I call mine the podcasting success timeline. All right. It's not fancy, but you kind of get the gist of it. Like that's what it's about. So give it a name. Don't we got to start naming and branding our stuff, our brand. Like that is key. That again helps you stand out. When I say I'm teaching you my community client bridge method, no one else can say that because that's a phrase that, I own, that I made up, that I use. And that means something to me and it will mean something to you when I teach it to you. All right. So we got to name the journey. I want you to split the journey up into 3 or more phases. That's my recommendation. We dive pretty deep into this in the boot camp and with the coaching program. I've had people go upwards of 7 phases. Usually 3 to 5 is the sweet spot. 2 isn't going to cut it. I need at least 3 phases of this journey. So what is the start? What is the end? And what's that middle zone that is going to be, a big part of the transition from the beginning to the end? Maybe that middle zone is 1 phase. Maybe it's 3 phases. All right. I'm going to have you create symptoms for each phase. So just kind of mind map this thing out and start broad and then work inward. All right. So what are the symptoms of each phase? Why are they there? What are they experiencing? What are they in their head about? All right. What are they physically experiencing? What are they experiencing with their business or whatever your niche is? And then you're going to give them action steps to move to the next phase, to that next stage. So we're going to tell them where they're at, why they're at where they're at, and what they need to do to go to the next stage. And that's going to create momentum. And I teach this to people when they come on for a podcast audit. I teach them when they do paid coaching. I'm going to be teaching this in the boot camp. All right. This is going to give your ideal listeners, your super fans, hopefully the people that become your ideal clients, we're giving them the gift of clarity where there's probably a lot of frustration and confusion. So this is giant, Pod Pals. All right. So I think that's good for this segment today. I've given you some homework. I really want you to start mapping this out. Now, bootcamp starts on Monday. All right. If you are listening to this in real time, we start the bootcamp on July 18th. It's a 4-week bootcamp. The first week, this is all we're doing, mapping out your ideal listener journey. And if you feel a little bit confused about this, if you feel like you could, need somebody to tag somebody in for some help, this is your opportunity. All right. Opportunity is knocking. Will you answer? Because we can either get started on this or you could be thinking about it and procrastinate over it for another year and make no money on your show. But this right here is the first step to making real money with your show. We've got to create your ideal listener journey. That is week 1 of the boot camp. You can get signed up. There's a link in the show notes. There is a link on my website, podcastingbusiness.school. I'm talking about it on the gram. I am all over the place. I haven't created anything new in several years. So hopefully to you, it means something when I get into sales mode like this. Like if you've listened to, 100 or more episodes of the show, you've never heard me really sell anything from the show. But I couldn't not create this boot camp because I'm very protective over my time. I'm very protective with my schedule, my 4-day work week, my 25 hours a week, and the rest goes towards family. I'm very protective over that. So I very rarely will be adding anything new. It has to go through a lot of filters of, does this impact my clients? Is it leveraged for me? Is it a good income opportunity for my business? It has to check all those boxes. And I put off doing this for quite a while until I couldn't put it off anymore. And that's why we're doing this beta group. We're launching it on Monday. I would love for you to be a part of it. Now, if you're listening out in the future land and it's the year 2030 or something like that, and you're binge listening to my show, first off, thank you. Thank you from future land. Get off your hovercraft and give yourself a pat on the back. And, I do this with my coaching, my one-on-one coaching. We will do future boot camps. So just kind of keep your ear to the ground with that. You can always email me, podcastingbusinessschool@gmail.com, if you want to inquire about setting up a consult to see if, is the boot camp right for you? When is the next boot camp? Is coaching right? All that good stuff. All right, Pod Pals, I've given you plenty to work on here today. We'll be back tomorrow with Workshop Week, the Podcasting Business Workshop Week. Episode 283 is going to be all about your ideal offer for your ideal listener, and then how we activate your audience to start moving them through this business funnel that we're creating. All right. It's going to be a really good one. So make sure that you tune in. And until tomorrow, I'm going to send you out into the world wishing you health, happiness, and many downloads. We'll see you tomorrow.